Right, hello, welcome back to our live or YouTube live. So just testing the mic. Are you all able to hear me? So just leave a thumbs up if you can hear me, and then we can get started. So this is, as you can see, the examiner's report for the GCSE exams, which were sat in 2023. So what we are going to do is just go over the examiner's report for English, and see the questions that were answered well, the questions that weren't answered too well, and also just provide some generic feedback. So if you can hear me, just drop a thumbs up so then we can get started. Okay, hello Andrew. So can you hear me? So just leave a thumbs up. I'm just testing the mic, making sure you all can hear me. And then what we'll do is we'll get started regardless because this will be uploaded onto the channel as well. So to those of you who cannot watch it live, what I'll do is I'll save it and you can watch it later on, perhaps just before your results day tomorrow morning. So that's that. So good evening. Welcome back to Easy Education London. And this is our YouTube live after a long time. I hope you all have enjoyed your summer holidays. And as you know, we are literally less than 24 hours away from your GCSE results. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the examiner's report. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So there's some interesting information for you to know for tomorrow. So feel free to ask questions as we go through it. So hello everyone. I can see some of you have joined. Just making sure the mic is working. Do leave a thumbs up so then we can get started. Thank you, Andrew. So welcome back, everyone. Right, I'm assuming the mic is working, so we're good to go. Right, so starting off with paper one. So this was again the first paper that you all sat back in May, sorry, back in June, early June. So we're going to look at some of the feedback and just look at what the examiners have written. So first of all, if I just zoom out, I know there's a lot of questions about grade boundaries. I will answer that later on in today's YouTube live. But anyway, so if I just, yeah, so here we go. So let's start off with the summary. So overall performance. So compared to last year, students approached this series with engagement and focus. Despite the disruption over the last few years, their determination to do their best was evident. So again, so overall for paper one, it went really well, which is the good news. Now, if you think about it, if students do well, again, it does affect the grade boundaries. So a little bit about grade boundaries, we'll perhaps discuss it later on in the YouTube live. So to those of you who sat the AQA exam, the the extract was from the Life of Pi. So just looking at it very quickly. So the Life of Pi was easily accessible to students across the ability range. Students were able to explore the hyena's behavior as well as Pi's feelings about being trapped on a boat at sea with a hyena. So examiners reported that question two enables students to select a variety of language items. So remember, that's the question where you expected to analyze language, and that there was increasing confidence when discussing single words and imagery or imagery. So students were able to pick out particular words or phrases and look at how language is used here for effect. So that's the good news. Question four had two straightforward ideas to discuss. So the quote, funny or frightening, and this enabled students to have several opportunities to agree or to disagree or both to agree and disagree with the different parts of the statement. And many students were successful in explaining why the hyena was funny, including its ignoble final position. Others showed equal confidence explaining why it created fear with its blank eyes and its click and claws. So again, I know a lot of students do struggle with question 4, but overall, the ideas that were presented within the extract were relatively straightforward. And then question 5 enables students to draw on their own experiences of animals. So remember, it's either the description or the narrative. Now, to those of you who attempted the description and to those of you who chose the narrative, the good news in simple terms is that the example did say more and more students were using ambitious vocabulary, and they were using vocabulary that was of high caliber. Okay, so that's the good news. Now, what I wanted to do is just go over the summary for paper 2 as well, because I don't want to make it long. But just important information for you to remember. So for paper 2, the overall performance, if I just turn it like this, teacher, thanks for doing it. Okay, thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. No problem. So I appreciate you all joining for the YouTube live. And this will be saved as well. So if you want to watch it later on or just early morning tomorrow, just before your results, feel free to do that. So the overall performance of students on this paper was as expected, with attainment on each question very close to, but slightly lower than performance in 2019. So what does that mean? You need to revisit the grade boundaries for 2019. So has anyone managed to look at the grade boundaries for 2019? Let me know in the chat section. Have you all looked at the GCSE grade boundaries for 2019? Anyone? No? Okay, I'm assuming you haven't. So what I'd recommend, perhaps you want to look at the grade boundaries for 2019, because that can give you an insight of how the grade boundaries would be for your exams tomorrow. So again, they were slightly lower in terms of your performance compared to 2019, which was the last summer series where students were unaffected by the disruption of the pandemic response. Um, Performance was very similar to that demonstrated in June 2022 when the first series post pandemic took place, which might indicate that there's still some impact felt by students in their experience of education, which will not come as a surprise to many teachers. So, where did a lot of students struggle? The most noticeable dip in performance was on question 3. Interestingly, so to those of you, I know it's been some time, but question 3 was in fact the language analysis question for language paper 2. It was the 12 marker. So this year, a lot of students did struggle with question number 3, which may have had more to do with the relative challenge of the extract in comparison to both 2019 and 2022. So what the exam board are saying here is that in comparison to 2019 and 2022, the marks scored for question 3 were slightly lower compared to 2019 and 2020, and a possibility of that is because of the extract. Some students struggle to understand and identify correctly how language is used for effect. Further discussion of this can be found in the question 3 section below. So I've got a simplified version, to be fair, and looking at the general feedback, you can have a look at the breakdown. So paper 1, the general feedback, as you can see, I hope you all can see it. I don't know if it's blurry. Is that blurry, or it should be fine? Do leave a thumbs up if you can read that, but I'm just going to go over it very quickly. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And then towards the end of the live, I'll be taking some quick questions in regards to tomorrow, what to do if you get the grades you want, if you're unsure what to study for sixth form, for college, etc. And we'll talk about grade boundaries. But anyways, so what went well for paper 1? Students were able to explore the hyena's behavior as well as Pi's feelings about being trapped on a boat at sea with a hyena. And question 2, there was increasing confidence when discussing single words and or imagery. So, like I said, to those of you who have been subscribed to my YouTube channel, when I did the prediction videos for language paper 1 and paper 2, I did predict that you will find certain techniques, right? So there are certain techniques you'll find in GCSE English Language Paper 1, Paper 2, and it's always appearing year after year. So you will find common techniques such as similes, metaphor, and imagery. But again, what students did well unfortunately, because it's quite evident within the text. It is blurry. Okay. If it's blurry, unfortunately, I don't seem to. Um, I guess the best thing is to. Oh, okay. It could be that, JJ. So I'm watching on my phone, so it might be blurry because of the size. That could be the case as well. But if it does look blurry, just try to listen, because I'm summarizing, and hopefully that makes sense as well. Right. So question four: many students were successful in explaining why the hyena was funny, including its ignoble final position. Others showed equal confidence explaining why it created fear with its blank eyes and its clicking jaws. Okay, so again, look at the language features that are used to describe the hyena. Okay, so again, lots of imagery taking place here and a lot of vivid description. And for question five, what went well? Students who were able to control the pace of the writing and to narrow their focus were more successful. So remember, I mentioned this in my YouTube channel on the YouTube videos. The more points you make, the more marks you get. It's as simple as that. And fortunately, for students who were able to stay up to date with the time and stick to the time restrictions, they were able to generally score higher marks. Okay, so that's what went well. And on the right hand side, what could have gone better or even better if? So this one's quite interesting for you all to know. But order in which questions were answered. So although time conditions place certain demands on students, those students who have taken the steps through questions 1 to 3 tended to have more insight into writers' methods as well as more thorough answers for question 4. So I know some of my subscribers would often ask prior to the exam, so how should I approach the exam? Should I start off with question 5? Should I start off with question 4? Should I start off with question 1? And to be honest, there's no right or wrong order. Okay, so some students may prefer to start off with section B, your creative writing. But as you can see from here, what they're saying is that it's better. So this is what the exam board are saying. It's better for you to start with question 1, then build your way up to question 2 to question 3. The reason being is you're building your language and structural features as you are preparing for question 4. Because let's be honest, what you mentioned in question 4 is again a repetition, okay, but from a different angle from questions 1, 2, and 3. So question 4 is combining your knowledge from questions 1, 2, and 3. So what the exam board are saying here is it's better for you to go in that serial or in that order. So if you are finding this YouTube live beneficial, do give the live a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as we have a lot more content on the way for the upcoming academic year. And we've got lots of plans to grow this YouTube channel. So thank you for tuning in. And is there any questions before I continue? So far, is there any questions? Feel free to ask any questions because you could have a question and someone else could have a similar question in mind. Okay, so I'm assuming there's no question. That's fine. So moving on. Okay, yep, that's fine. Right. So moving on. There continues to be a lack of confidence with question 3. So I'm looking here right now. So where students do not use structural phrases to guide their comments, there appear to be less confidence with why this event and why now in the text. And in the reading section, there were fewer answers that were able to draw on thematic or conceptual ideas. Perceptive analysis can be developed by discussing ideas such as instinct or prejudice. So again, question 3, for some peculiar reason, many of our students do struggle with it because it is different to language. So for structure, you're looking at the shift from the beginning to the middle to the end, and perhaps again what the exam board have stated previously, the fact that some students were struggling to understand what is happening within the text could be a factor to why people couldn't understand the questions for question 3. So that's something for you all to know. And then question 5, there appeared to be a reliance for some on changing the atmosphere of the zoo to a dramatic extent. This led to neglectful, sorrowful zoos emerging from a setting which at the start had been bright and welcoming. Changes in atmosphere can be effective, but this needs to have a reason and could perhaps be used more sparingly than affecting the whole setting. And for question 5, as I mentioned before, vocabulary choices tended to be more considered and therefore more successful. However, words such as obsidian, lackadaisical, and phrases from poetry drawn from the English literature specification continued to creep in. So that is that for question 5. And then, as you can see, these are the assessment objectives. So I don't really want to spend too long on that. I just wanted to look at question 4 and 5, to be honest with you all, because these are the questions that are most important. So for question 4, so if I just tilt it slightly to the right, students seemed less inclined to draw across the scales from questions 2 and 3. Exploring language features and discussing the structural shifts are credited for this question. So, as mentioned before, I did cover this on my YouTube channel. For question 4, you are credited or you are given marks for exploring language and structure. Students who were able to explain that Pi's feelings changed towards the end, that the hyena was not at all the threat he had assumed, tended to be more successful. Misreading the end of the source, thinking that the hyena had died, led some students to believe that Pi had defeated or killed the hyena. That's important. Sometimes students interpret an extract through the lens of a previous extract, which is unhelpful. So that's where some students go on a tangent, and obviously that leads to them scoring lower marks than usual. And finally, question 5. This appeared to be less favored of the two options. So the description was less favored. So most people chose the narrative. And the stronger responses used their image as a prompt to their own experiences and their imagination. And some students did lean towards ideas that have little or no cohesion across the whole response. So it does have to link to the image that is provided. And taking a moment in time and avoiding the style of recount could be more successful. So again, when you look at the picture, you shouldn't go on a tangent. You should use the picture as a starting point to write your description. And to those of you who chose the narrative, which as you can see at the bottom, there were a wide range of wild animals included. I know most students did choose the narrative, but again, it's important that your narrative is engaging throughout. And the more successful students, what did they do? They had decided upon a situation and an animal, but had also chosen a theme that they wanted to explore. Some animals were written with a quality such as bravery, resilience, or defiance. So, this also enabled more successful answers as students were able to describe their actions and their physical appearance through a particular lens. And finally, talking animals tended to be a feature of less successful answers. So, that is generally the feedback for question 4 and 5. And to be honest, overall, the performance throughout the entire UK was positive. It was similar to 2019. Now, in terms of your grade boundaries, we can talk about this in a second. But that was essentially paper 1. And very quickly with paper 2, I'm just going to wrap up very quickly. So for paper 2, the general feedback, what went well, the overall performance, as you can see, on this paper was as expected, with attainment on each question very close to, but slightly lower than performance in 2019. And even better if the most noticeable dip in performance was on question 3, which may have had more to do with the relative challenge of the extract in comparison to both 2019 and 2022. So so generally paper 2 was again answered quite well, but for some strange reason, question 3 students struggled to identify language features. Now, who preferred paper 2 over paper 1? Who preferred paper 1 over paper 2? Leave your thoughts on the in the comment section. So if you preferred paper 1, did you find paper 1 easier or paper 2? Just leave your thoughts in the chat section below. What did you prefer, paper 1 or paper 2? Which one was easier? Okay, Ilyas, good luck everybody with your results. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's amazing. So good luck to you all for your results tomorrow. So we're not far away. So less than 24 hours away. Does anyone have any predictions of what they may have scored in terms of English? Thanks for taking your time doing this. It has been very helpful. Good luck tomorrow, everyone. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Ilyas. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube live. And I hope you found this beneficial and insightful. And is there anything you all want to ask? So just for the last 5 minutes, I'll take some questions. Anything you want to ask, feel free to ask in regards to tomorrow. What to do before, what to do after the exam. Do I need to contact college? Sixth form, A levels, B Tech, feel free because again, you've got that opportunity where you've got a teacher providing you with this service. Ilyas, hopefully 7 in English. Yep, that would be great, amazing. So let's hope you can achieve that grade 6. Any questions, anything you all want to ask? Is it usually literature or language that is important for getting into sixth form or college? Well, for most of you, who I'm assuming again who do not want to pursue English as a profession, you will only need English language. Okay, but if you want to become an English teacher, then it's recommended for you to take on English language and literature, where you are able to score the highest possible grade for those two subjects, Ilyas. So I hope that answers your question. So in simple terms, GCSE English language is more important over literature. Okay, so um, that is essentially answering your question. I hope that answers your question, Ilyas. Thank you for subscribing. Do share it with your family and friends. If you have siblings in secondary school, in primary school, do share the YouTube channel. And what grade is that? Assuming you won't study English for A level. Yeah, that's fine. So again, so it depends on your college and your sixth form. So for example, let's say you want to study A level maths or A level biology. So you would need a minimum requirement of a grade 6/grade 7. Okay. The reason I say slash is because some schools can take you on with a grade 6, some schools or sixth forms can take you on with the grade 7. So it really depends. And if you're unsure, look at the college or sixth form you're applying for and go through the A level requirements. I mean, grade for English language. Yeah. So for English, a minimum, I would say, Ilyas, is a grade 5 you would need minimum. But essentially, you really want to score like a grade 6 or 7 if you're studying A levels. Yeah, some will take with the 5 depending on circum. That is correct, JJ. So again, it is dependent on your school, your college, and other circumstances as well. But generally, if you've passed, okay, your English language, then you should be good to go, and your maths as well. So remember, make sure if you still are unsure about your A levels and what to study, do speak to your school teachers and career advisors because they can give you some informative feedback on what to do. And to be honest, I was in a similar situation, and we had career advisors who did help us, in terms of choosing the right A levels. So yeah, so we've literally got 2 more minutes. Thank you for tuning in. To those, I know some students may have not tuned in, but what I'll do is I'll save this and I'll upload it onto the channel. You can watch it for tomorrow. Also, important question: does anyone know when the grade boundaries come out? Does anyone know? When do the grade boundaries come out for your exam board? When are they released? Does anyone know? Yep. So yeah, but what time? Does anyone know? It's at 8 a.m. Okay, so at 8 a.m. that's probably before you go into school. Yeah, that's correct. So if you go onto Google and you write AQA GCSE exam boundaries 2023, you can start calculating and predicting what you've scored for your English exams. Okay. Hi Ayub, thank you for tuning in to our YouTube live. So yeah, so I hope that answers your question. So to those of you who are curious about the grade boundaries, tomorrow, 8 a.m. in the morning, if you Google GCSE English Language AQA grade boundaries 2023, click on the first link and you'll be able to see how many marks you would need to score to get that desired grade. Okay, so That does take us towards the end of the YouTube live. Any final questions? Anything you'd like to ask? Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Do share it with your family and friends. To those of you with younger siblings in secondary school, year 10, year 9, year 8, 7, and also in primary school, year 3, 4, 5, and 6, do share it because it does help our channel to grow. And it helps in growing the channel. uh, I have a question. On results day, do we get given our results one by one and in a queue, or do we pick it up from a pile? Okay, so that's a good question. So generally what happens is, you see you've got your candidate number, right, Ilyas? So you've got your candidate number. So it could be in your form groups. Okay, so there could be your form groups, and you go to your form group and they'll take your candidate number, and then they'll go through the file and they'll find your name with your candidate number and they'll just hand it out to you. And you can open it there, or if you decide you want to open it like somewhere else, you can do that as well. What's good enough for a two? Okay, William. I mean, if you're aiming for a two, then you're gonna have to retake, unfortunately. But let's hope you have passed, William. So yeah, so that is that. I hope you have found this live beneficial and insightful. Thank you all for tuning in to our YouTube live. Tomorrow we are going live to get all your reactions and just get your feedback. And we're going to do like a live Q&A at 7 p.m. tomorrow, and just give advice for sixth form. Some mistakes I made in college and sixth form, and how we can improve as well. Okay, so other than that, thank you for tuning in. All the best for tomorrow, and I shall see you all tomorrow. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.